Over at the tent maker site, Gary Emerald published three chapters, the three missing chapters of Hannah Whitall Smith, in which she talks about God saving all. And I thought I'd read the three chapters to you. I'll start with one and see how far we go. And I'll leave a link to where you can find these three chapters on this website here. Apparently, Hannah was a Quaker, and then she joined the Plymouth Brethren. Okay, so here's the missing chapters, chapter 21. And I haven't pre-read this, so I'll probably make some screw-ups, so bear with me. During all the years of which I speak at the Plymouth Brethren were, as I have said, among my principal teachers. But I began gradually to find some things in their teaching that I could not accept, and this was especially the case with their extreme Calvinism. There have always been, I believe, differences of opinion among them in regard to this view, but those with whom I was thrown held very rigidly the belief that some people were elected to salvation and some people were elected to reprobation, and that nothing the individual could do could change these eternal decrees. We, of course, were among those elected to salvation, and for this we were taught to be profoundly thankful. I tried hard to fall in with this. It seemed difficult to believe that those who had taught me so much could possibly be mistaken over such a vital point. My soul revolted from it more and more. How could I be content in knowing that I myself was sure of heaven, while other poor souls, equally deserving, but who had not had my chances, were elected for no fault of their own, but in the eternal decrees of God to reprobation? Such doctrine seemed to me to be utterly inconsistent with the proclamation that had so entranced me. I could not find any limitations to this proclamation, and I could not believe that there were any secret limitations in the mind of God who had made it. Neither could I see how a creator could be just, even if he were not loving, in consigning some of the creatures he himself and no other had created to the eternal torment of hell, and let them be as great sinners as they might be. I felt that if this doctrine were true, I should woefully be disappointed in God, whom I had with so much rapture discovered. I could not fail to see, moreover, that after all, each one of can you see why the Plymouth Brethren would be pissed at this and jerk these chapters out of her book? I couldn't I could not fail to see, moreover, that after all, each one of us was largely a creature of circumstance, that what we were taught and what we did was more or less the result of temperaments and of our inherited characteristics, of our social surroundings and of our education, and that these were all providentially arranged for us, and often no more power on our part to alter them. It just would not be just in the God who had placed in us in their midst, to let them determine our eternal destiny. As an escape from our doctrine of eternal torment, I, at first, embraced the doctrine of annihilation for the wicked, and for a little while I tried to comfort myself with the belief that this life ended all for them. But the more I thought about it, the more it seemed to me that that would be a confession of serious failure on the part of the Creator, if he could find no way out of this problem of his creation but to annihilate the creatures whom he had created. Unconsciously, one of my children gave me an illustration of this. Okay, from the mouths of children, here it comes. She waked me up one morning to tell me that she had been lying in bed having great fun pretending that she had been made a man. She described the color of his hair and his eyes and his figure and his height and his power and his wisdom and all the grand things he was going to do, and was very enthusiastic in her evident delight in the joy of creation. When she had been finished enumerating all the magnificent qualities of her man, I said to her, "But darling, suppose he should turn out badly. Suppose he should do mischief and hurt people and make things go wrong. What would thee do then?" "Oh," she said, "I would not have any trouble. I'd just make him lie down and chop his head off." Okay. I saw at once a splendid illustration that this was the responsibility of a creator, and it brought to my mind Mrs. Shelley's weird story, The Artist Frankenstein, who had made a monstrous image of God, which, when it was finished, suddenly, to his horror, became alive and went out into the world, wreaking havoc wherever it went. Oh my goodness. The horrified maker felt obliged to follow his handiwork everywhere and try to undo a little of the mischief that had been done, and to remedy as far as possible all the evils it had caused. The awful sense of the responsibility that rested upon him because of the things done by the creature he had created opened my eyes to see the responsibility God must necessarily feel if the creatures he had created were to turn out badly. I could not believe he would torment them forever, neither could I rest in the thought of annihilation as his best remedy for sin. For I felt hopeless of the reconciliation of the love and the justice of the Creator with the fate of his creatures, and I knew not which way to turn, but deliverance was at hand, and the third epoch of my Christian experience was about to dawn. Okay, I'll pick up the next chapter on the next video. This is wonderful stuff. This is wonderful stuff. You need to like it and share it. Hanna Whitall Smith was a Quaker, became a Plymouth Brethren, and then moved over into thinking universal salvation was the way, and I'm with her.